using poetic language, because you know this is a poem, it's a song, of what happened at the Red Sea. It's an effortless and complete victory that God has achieved. So for example, look at verse 6. It says, the Lord shatters the enemy. And the ease with which of how God did this is emphasized. So for example, in verse 8, the waters piled up at the blast of God's nostrils. Okay, so God doesn't even need to flex his muscles. He did it by his nostrils. And then at the blowing of the wind, he went back and drowned the Egyptians. So verse 11 then concludes this. Who is like you, O Lord, among the gods? Just like the song that we sang just now, led by Elder Gregory, there is no one like this holy God that we have. Who is like you? Majestic in holiness, awesome in glorious deeds, and doing wonders. And so if you were to ask the Israelites what the Exodus means for them, if they probably say something like this, they'll say, oh well, that day, God triumphed gloriously over Pharaoh and his armies. As New Testament believers, we now look back on the new and better Exodus, and we say this. On the cross, Christ has triumphed victoriously over a tyranny far more oppressive, far more powerful than Pharaoh. He has triumphed over sin and Satan. So on the cross, Christ has triumphed victoriously over sin and Satan. Colossians chapter 2 verse 15 says this. Christ has disarmed the rulers and authorities, Satan and the power of darkness, and put them to open shame by triumphing over them in him. Now isn't this comforting news for us? For us believers who are still trapped in our spiritual death, in our sin and in our idolatry. Where we are still struggling with sin, maybe it's the anger in our hearts that we cannot overcome, or the lust in our hearts that we keep falling back into, and we can't seem to win. The Lord is our salvation, and sin and Satan do not have the last word. Or perhaps you and I are still struggling with idolatry. Perhaps we fear men more than we fear God. And our boss' opinions of us, our friends' opinions of us, have such a strong hold on us that it should never have. When it feels like a losing battle, know that Jesus has already dealt the decisive blow on sin and Satan. Sin and Satan do not have the last word, because Jesus has already triumphed victoriously on the cross. So the first big thing the Israelites sang about is God's victory over his enemies. God's victory, glorious victory over his enemies. And the second big thing that they sang about is God's unfailing love towards his people. In verse 13 to 18. God's unfailing love towards his people. So look especially at verse 13. So in verse 13 they sang this. You have led in your steadfast love the people whom you have redeemed. You have led in your steadfast love the people whom you have redeemed. The word steadfast love refers to God's loyal love, his unfailing covenantal love for his people. It's a love that can never fail. The Exodus proved that God did not abandon his people in their greatest need, nor did he abandon them when they were faithless. But he has redeemed them. He has purchased them so that they now wholly belong to God. And they were redeemed also not just from slavery, not just from something, from slavery, but towards something. Verse 13 says, God is bringing his people to his holy abode, his holy dwelling. And verse 17 says, God is bringing them to his sanctuary, to a safe place of refuge. Both of which probably referring to Mount Sinai, which is their next destination, and where they will live under God's loving presence. And so they are redeemed to belong to God, and also redeemed to live under God's loving presence. And so again, if you were to ask the Israelites what the Exodus means for them, they'll say something like this. Exodus is proof of God's steadfast love for us. And so too, as New Testament believers, we look back on the new and better Exodus, and then we say, the cross is the ultimate proof of God's unfailing love for us. The cross is the ultimate proof of God's unfailing love for us, because it is there that God gave His only Son to redeem us to be His people, and also to place us under His loving presence forever. So Paul says this in Romans chapter 8, verse 38, 39. He says, "For I am sure that neither death nor life, nor angels nor rulers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor depth, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation." What it means is absolutely nothing will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord. And so again, isn't this comforting news for us? Whatever we may lose in our dead ends can never lose the love of Jesus. Whatever you may lose in your dead ends, you can never lose the love of Jesus. You may lose your health, maybe your reputation, your relationships, your joy and peace for a while, but you can never lose the love of Jesus. If He has loved us enough to settle once and for all our ultimate dead end on the cross 2,000 years ago, then He can be trusted to bring us through our smaller dead ends that we face in this life. And finally, as we come to a close, if you notice, there is a little worship on call in verse 20 and 21. The last two verses for today. So worship on call. Because Miriam and all the women just can't stop singing. So once more they sing the song of Moses with their tambourines and their dancing. So earlier I mentioned it is the first song of the Bible, the Song of Moses. It is also the last song of the Bible. In Revelation chapter 15 verse 3. Revelation chapter 15 verse 3. There the redeemed not just sing the song of Moses, but they also sing the song of the Lamb. The Lamb of God who has accomplished the ultimate act of redemption. And like the Israelites, we will sing again and again of God's redemption for all eternity. So the final application will just be this. Okay. Sing of God's redemption, His strength and His unfailing love through your dead ends. Sing of God's redemption, His strength and His unfailing love